EQ drops in Djay Pro. I'm Djay Spiegel, and I'm going to show you how. EQing the drop is the process of adding either effects or messing with the EQs in order to increase how hard the drop hits. Now, there's a couple of reasons why you might do this. One is to make your set stand out, to make your DJ performance sound different than what people are used to hearing on the radio or on Spotify and stuff like that. Another way is it's fun and it keeps you occupied when you're DJing. Sometimes when you're DJing, you kind of find yourself with nothing to do. And this adds something really fun to do that'll really make your set stand out. So let's get right into it. So I'm using this track here. It's a royalty-free EDM track. Now, this technique will only work with songs with drops. So EDM, electro, songs like that, it's not going to really work as much with hip hop or old school or stuff like that. So this is an EDM mixing technique. So I'm just going to play this song without messing with the EQs. So I already set a cue point 16 bars before the drop for a previous video. So we're going to start it there. Let me just open up the waveform view so we could see where the waveforms are. I'm going to check this. And then here we go. So this is what it sounds like without doing anything to the drop. So this song has a very punchy drop. So take note of what that sounded like without doing anything to the drop. And now this time we are going to EQ the drop. So if you could see where my mouse is over here, we are going to press this EQ button over here. So the Nero mix is on the right, on the left, all the way to the right is our EQ button. And for the first one, we're going to be using the filter. Most new DJ controllers will have a filter knob right there for you next to the EQs. So you could turn the high pass filter on by twisting it to the right, and then you could put it back by turning it to straight up. Or if you're just using the iPad or if you're using just your iPhone, then you could use these sliders. These sliders are one of my favorite controls in the app to use with the touchscreen because they're very easy to use and you could be very precise with it. So once it hits this cue point, you see where the blue is? This cue point over here, 16 bars after the drop, we are going to start the EQing. So what we're going to do is at that point, when it gets over here, we're going to slowly raise the high pass filter almost to the top, like over here, maybe leave like 20% left. And then we are going to put it back to normal right when the drop hits. The most important thing with this technique is to just make sure that all your EQs and all your effects are off for the drop. You want to increase the drop, you want to put some emphasis on the drop, but you don't want to ruin the drop. So be very careful to get back to the original EQs of the song. And if you want, maybe you could even increase the bass a little bit, but for the most part, you'll want to get back to the normal EQ. And Djay Pro makes it easy to do this by you just double tap the middle. So if you raise the filter up here, you just double tap the middle. Raise the EQ, double tap the midi. And with any of these, you could do it with the highs, you could do it with the lows. And that's the easiest way. So right when the drop hits, we are going to double tap that, and then we will be back to the normal sound of the song, but the drop is going to sound a lot harder because we took out a lot of the bass because the high pass filter gets rid of the bass and adds a sweeping effect. And then when you put it back, people are like, boom, and it hits you really hard. Now, you may not notice this if you're just DJing with the speakers from your iPad or if you're using like small Bluetooth speakers, but if you're on a big sound system, if you're riding in a truck with some subwoofers, or if you're at the club or something, you will definitely be able to hear how much the drop is increased. So here we go right now. We are doing the high pass filter to EQ the drop. Here we go. Let me just start it a little bit farther back so we can get ready. Right when it hits this cue point, we'll start. Here we go. Boom. And then if you are using the right type of speakers, or if you're using good headphones, you'll be able to hear that it went the high pass filter had that filter effect, and it took out the bass, and then we slammed it back in, and it made the drop hit a lot harder. People appreciate this, and they dance, and then they go nuts. Now, another way to do it is we're just going to cut out the bass. So we're just going to take the bass, cut it out, and then put the bass in right before the drop. Here we go. Boom. And there we go. The bass hits a lot harder. So that's how you do it with the EQs. Practice that a lot of time. The most important thing, like I said, is getting the bass back in, because if you go and then you EQ the drop and then you drop it with no bass, it's going to sound like this. And then instead of increasing and making the song better, you just ruined it. So most important thing, make sure it goes back. So now let's go over here to effects. So down here, you see it's highlighted on the EQs. We're going to go to the next one that says FX. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to put a flanger. So flanger is going to sound like this. So it's going to sound like that robotic futuristic flanger. And then, of course, we're going to take it off right before the drop. Here we go. Ah, you see? I missed it with that one. Let's go back, try it again. And there we go. So just make sure that you get the effect off at the right time. And you could experiment with all of these effects that Djay Pro gives us. Flanger's good. You could do reverb. You could even do echo. And they have these new ones that I haven't even experimented with, like alarm and noise sweep and stuff like that. That might be perfect. But I'm going to show you my favorite one to do for the last example. And that is going to be with the scratcher. So here is the scratcher. The scratcher effect makes it sound like you're doing scratches, but it's an effect. So at the right time, we're going to put on the scratcher effect. And this one only really sounds good if you move this slider around to change the beats. So I'll show you what that sounds like. This is without moving it. And then this is with moving it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to wait a little bit closer to the drop. I think we're going to do it. Let's try to do it with this little sound here. It might be too short, but let's see if it works. So on that one, we're going to hit the scratcher, and then we're going to mess around with this slider and then take it off right before the drop. Let's go. So that one was kind of subtle because there was not much of a sound before it. Maybe if we start a little bit sooner. Let's start on these sounds over here. So I'll just put a cue point in over here. And you guys could always use this temporary cue point button down here when you're trying stuff like this, just so you can see the arrow so you know when to start. So let's get ready. Same thing again. Just get ready. It takes two hands because you got to move the slider and put the effect on. And there we go. So those are a couple examples on how to do the EQing of the drops. And I typically EQ every single drop that I play when I'm DJing because I feel like it makes it stand out, and I just love that hard hit and drop. So if you like learning new techniques and learning about all the new stuff with Djay Pro and DJing with the iPad, give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. I make DJ videos every day.